Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.
Brian and Kenzie on Q101. Glad you stuck around through that amazing song to join us and be the first in on this story that, again, with WGN, last time it was Tiffany Henyard and Ben Bradley investigative reporting about 2 years ago. We started talking about that. And thankfully, with her winning Piece of Garbage Madness and your support and your laughter at going through all the stories, she's been ousted. And as far as I know, Dalton is running smoothly and perfectly, and no other funds are being routed to directions.
Well, don't get you. We haven't really followed up on it, so just in case.
Allegedly, everything's going well down there in Dalton now.
Yeah, throw a word on there for safety.
with a new mayor and new superintendent until we find out more. But WGN's giving us another gem, and this broke in the last 24 hours, pretty much. The story's been a little bit light for the last month, but it really came to a head in Country Club Hills. And this involves Country Club Hills School District 160, and also corruption and chaos. So let's get to the story and let WGN's Brona Tumulty tell the story of investigative reporting and the misuse of district funds in Country Club Hills School District 160. The main culprits being Superintendent Dwayne Megan and former President and current Secretary Jacqueline Doss. And here is the story.
It's alarming for us. And we're saying that how do we have money for that, but we don't have anything that is beneficial to our children, to our students, in order for them to academically succeed.
Sequoia Williams is a parent in Country Club Hills and says she noticed problems from the get-go last year after enrolling her children in District 160.
I found out through staff members that a lot of the school administrators were put on leave that was over at the district office due to mismanagement of finances.
We're so tired of hearing that. Mismanagement of financing has to be the worst phrase ever. Because as a taxpayer in that area, a taxpayer anywhere, you hear that and you're like, well, surely my taxpayer money's going somewhere awesome. Doesn't usually end up that way.
It's been unfortunate.
And when you hear the word misuse, you picture some very fat politician naked rolling around in your money. That's what I picture.
Imagine how scary that must be to enroll your children in a new school district, and you're getting to know the school and your neighbors around you, and you're going, hey, is this school lightly staffed? What's going on here? And you hear, we have multiple teachers and faculty on administrative leave because of financial mismanagement.
You just moved in there. Everybody told you it's a great school district.
It's awesome. You'll love it.
And you already bought a place, so you can't leave.
No, you're stuck.
I'm thinking of my situation, right? I bought a place, and I'm now in allegedly a good school district. I'll find out when I get there when Harper gets old enough, but it's devastating. You can't just pick up and move again. Even if you're renting, you can't do that. It's a pain in the ass to move. That's where we're at right now with Country Club Hills School District 160 and that woman's claims. Here we go. The story continues.
Finances.
It seemed then the district's finances might need some scrutiny. So we started digging into the spending habits of Superintendent Dwayne Meehan and the rest of the board, namely former President and current Secretary Jacqueline Doss.
Because they are absolutely both a part of the issues.
Those issues are lengthy, but in just the last 2.5 years, district credit card reports in Meehan's name show hundreds of thousands of dollars spent on much more than just education.
Before we let it continue, if these people wanted to be corrupt scumbags, why don't they spend less so it doesn't get noticed as much? Maybe I don't know, a couple $100 I'm taking out of the pocket there. They'll never notice. It's always hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Because they always get ballsy. It started with a small amount.
Yeah.
And then you get comfortable, and you're like, why don't I just use all of it on me? This is awesome.
Like, no one noticed that $200 I used.
The school's closed one day. Have it. You know what I mean?
Unbelievable.
But you have to think about corruption as a bundle, right? You gotta maximize. You've got to maximize what you're doing. So if you're going to be evil, you should be the most evil possible.
That's a good statement.
Thank you.
All or nothing.
I've thought a lot about it.
Best at being evil.
Yeah. We're not saying choose evil, but if you do, go all in like these people.
Don't you think, though, there was probably a point where it was I'm going to take here a little money to help me out. And then every time a kid's mean to you at school, you're like, you know what? F you. Guess what? You don't get textbooks, huh? How about you like that? Do you think it's a little jab?
$2,000 in my pocket.
Yeah,
I'm going to go do something with it.
No pencils for you.
So now we'll get more of the numbers here of what WGN discovered.
In fact, those reports show roughly $250,000 in charges at hotels.
$250,000 to hotels. I couldn't do that if I tried.
I was just about to say the same thing.
I could. I mean, what am I going to do? Get 8,000 nights at the Marriott? Like, how could I get $250,000 spent?
I don't think they're looking for bargain hotels. I would imagine there's a honeymoon suite consistently at the Ritz-Carlton.
But if I walked in like a Four Seasons or Ritz-Carlton, they'd go, I feel like there'd be a laser scope on me going, you don't belong here.
Mm-hmm.
Of course you don't. There must be something. You must have stole money
they
from your
probably feel like
people.
these people belong here because they're like, put the $27,000 on my car. They don't care.
It's unbelievable. $250,000 on hotels. They could have went to the school district. We're talking about Country Club Hills School District 160.
How do you report that for like, well, it was for the school? How?
Yeah, how do they make that? I got to know how they do this so I can do it. I mean, they're getting caught now, but why can't we do it? Oh, well.
Because you would be better at it. You wouldn't get caught.
Oh, I'd be walking around. I couldn't get away
You'd be
with
walking
this.
around in a Ritz-Carlton with your Billabong board shirts going like, man, life is awesome. I should have been doing this earlier.
And they're going to go, that guy must have stole that money to get here.
That guy.
All right, here we go. More of the story.
$1 in charges at hotels, including the Hilton in New Orleans, the Bellagio in Vegas, and the Marriott in Atlanta.
All right, they did one Marriott. They did one the Marriott in Atlanta. But I understand the Bellagio in Vegas.
I'll do it. And I'm sure it was a nice room.
Yeah. They said the Hilton in New Orleans. I'm going, okay, maybe a little expensive. The Marriott Atlanta, maybe. Bellagio in Vegas, it must have been a suite.
All those places are so fun. They got to go to New Orleans, Atlanta, and Vegas.
Okay, the point of the story is not to have Kenzie get FOMO on these corrupt scumbags again, like she did with Tiffany
I'm
Henyard.
never friends with any of them.
God, it's very unfortunate. Okay, so the Bellagio in Vegas spells a lot, which had to be a lot of
And
that.
it's Vegas again. The corruption all leads to Las Vegas.
Don't you think they're like, oh, well, what happens in Vegas? Like, you get arrested. I'll be corrupt there.
It's not the Cayman Islands. It's still in this country.
They're like, cool, nothing can happen to me.
Let's see here. Let's keep going with the story.
Vegas and the Marriott in Atlanta.
They've taken sports away. They've taken like all of the extracurricular activities that our children have had. They've taken them away. And they keep telling us we don't have money.
Food-related expenses adding up to almost $130,000, with countless payments to DoorDash and Uber Eats, $3,500 spent at Cooper's Hawk in Orland Park, and thousands more at high-end steakhouses from DC to Napa.
Wait a minute.
Cooper's Hawk is like, I don't want the smoke, man. Like, we don't, listen, like, we just serve people when they come in.
Wait a minute.
Wait, you didn't have to name drop. Nobody else got name dropped. Nobody. That's like a bunch of steakhouses, but Cooper's Hawk. Like, come on.
They said DoorDash, random steakhouses in D.C., and Cooper's Hawk. We love them, by the way. And they're like,
We do love
hey,
Cooper's Hawk.
hey, we're just arrested. We didn't invite them in.
When you get a table at Cooper's Hawk, they don't go, by the way, are you stealing money from a school district? Just wondering.
10% discount for you. Like, that's not what they're doing.
Maybe restaurants need to do that from now on in Chicago because this is ridiculous.
Help save in a way, they'd be saving money for the children by giving these people discounts that so many people steal from them.
And that's the root of all this. And that's the important thing to note is there's absurdity and hilarity to this story. But as the mother of the child in the school district just said, they've taken away sports and extracurriculars because they say they don't have money for them. Yet they're spending hundreds of thousands at the Bellagio and at Cooper's Hawk.
Yeah.
And can I just ask? You have to pay to put your kids in sports. What do you mean you don't have money for it?
Well,
The extracurriculars cost money to say. So the funding should barely even be from the taxes. The funding is coming from the parents. Like, everything that Tristan's in, I pay extra money for.
and then they use your money at Cooper's Hawk.
Yeah, so it's like, what do you mean you don't have money? That would be extra money anyways.
I pictured it's almost like the Grandpa Simpson meme where he goes in and out. They take Kenzie's money and goes like, "Dup, dup, dup, I'm going right out to spend it."
Kenzie, you have funded some lovely steak dinners for your school district.
And by the way, why they spend it? At least if you're going to help the economy, we have better steakhouses than DC and stuff. Why not at least spend the money here? Why didn't they say
They're
Gibson's?
traveling. They're having fun.
Yeah, it's part of the vacation. What are you going to do? Not have a steak dinner when you go
I
on
mean,
a school trip?
they can't enjoy their trip. I mean, come on, geez, can't take a day off.
Again, all in on evil. Got to get a steak in DC or wherever.
Hell yeah.
All right, let's continue this story from WGN. We're talking about Country Club Hills School District 160. Certainly going to be the focal point going forward of some corruption and allegations there.
They've taken them away. And they keep telling us we don't have money.
Food-related expenses
We're still a little backwards. We're going to give Cooper's Hawk another plug here.
adding up to almost $130,000, with countless payments to DoorDash and Uber Eats, $3,500 spent at Cooper's Hawk in Orland Park, and thousands more at high-end steakhouses from DC to Napa. The cost of getting to and from the likes of those restaurants and resorts climbing to almost $70,000 in...
What?
That's on transportation.
$70,000 on just to get to the steakhouse?
And other places.
What are they supposed to use, a normal Uber? Come on, Brian.
Look,
of course. They got a helicopter. Right?
I can get to Orland Park, Cooper's Hawk right now. I can get there in my car, my Rogue, for probably, I think, $11 in gas. Maybe less.
This is not thinking like a rich person.
So we don't have this in the audio, but I do want to mention this really quickly. Part of the issue with all this spending is that when they take these trips to DC or to Napa or to New Orleans, they're flying out of Midway, and these people are hiring a limousine service to take them to and from Midway.
Yes. Go on.
Okay, we disapprove of that yes from Kenzie. Remove that from the podcast, please.
Right.
All right,
I just meant it would be fun in general, not if you're stealing from kids, but I get where they're,
Kenzie, all this would be fun. All this would be fun. Plus, with no sports, you're not waiting for your kid afterward either.
Oh, my God, right? I'm like, this is a dream. No sports and we're taking trips.
All right, there's more here, a little bit less.
What school district is this in?
A little bit more here to the story from WGN on Country Club Hills, School District 160.
Airline charges, with occasional perks like onboard Wi-Fi and upgrades to TSA pre-check.
Whoa. They upgraded the TSA pre?
Well, come on, what are you going to do? Not be
They're
in
in a
pre-check?
hurry to get back to the kids. Come on.
Can't they use their own money at least for that and go like, you know what, since we've been living fat for a while here, I'll just pay for my $100 TSA pre.
Oh, do you really think the $100 TSA pre is the biggest fish to fry here?
It's disgusting. It's the level of evil, like you said, all in. I'm also going to put my TSA pre on there.
But think about it. Why use your money when you can use someone else's?
Right.
Yep, that's clear.
That's what I think.
All that could be the tip of the iceberg. Both Das and Maine declined our interview requests via email, and we've since tried again in person. It's Bro now at WGN. I spoke with him briefly beforehand. He said he would talk to us in the interim. And what about you, Miss Das? Can you speak with us?
I already told you no comment.
Okay, but we are trying to get interviews with you to get your side of the story, because there's expense reports.
No comment.
There's almost $9,000
No
in charges
comment.
at the Bellagio.
No comment.
No comment. Okay, Mr. Maine, have you ever stayed at the Bellagio? Do you know there's $20,000, more than $20,000 in hotel charges for December of 2024 alone?
Oh, get him, Brona.
That's him shutting the door.
WGN with Brona and with Ben Bradley, they get doors shut in their face so awesome.
Do you feel like he was going on his phone to delete all of his Instagram pictures?
Very similar.
Travel with me to the Bellagio. He's like, oh my God, I have to delete this.
The playbook is the same as Tiffany Henyard.
Trustee Jerry Jones was on that first-class trip to New York.
Still don't have a comment.
Sir, you're a trustee.
Well, once again, I don't have a comment.
I mean, what is he supposed to do? Make up a comment? He doesn't have one.
It's unbelievable. We're going to continue with this story here in just 3 minutes. There's more that you have to hear about what happened last night at the Country Club Hills board meeting. And I'm talking about the Popo showing up.
That's right. School board meeting last night about these issues. The police were called. We have that audio in just a second.
See, nothing fun happens at my school board.
Brian and Kenzie.
On Q101.
The Brian and Kenzie Show.
Q101.
We just broke down WGN's investigative reports on Country Club Hills, School District 160, and the corruption building there. As the story goes with just very similar to the Tiffany Henyard thing we covered for 2 years. We're going to bring it down. That's what we do here on this show through WGN. We love them. We love working with them. And this wasn't Ben Bradley. This was Brona Tumulty. Very similar, getting a door slammed in her face to and no comments to get the story. And part of that story involved where they spent all their money. Mark checked in from Glen Ellen and said, damn, I really want to go to the Cooper's Hawk in Orland Park now. Really want to get over there. So thanks, Mark, from checking in from Glen Ellen this morning and listening to this. But there's more to this story from WGN as last night. So that story aired before last night.
Yes.
On WGN.
They essentially did a pregame show for a school board meeting in the same way you would do it for the Super Bowl.
So then the school board meeting happened last night. Police were called to last night's school board meeting for Country Club Hills District 160 after a heated confrontation between parents and board members after all this has come out. Where's the money going? You've canceled sports, and you're going to the Bellagio in Vegas. Topics on the agenda last night.
Without me.
Right, without Kenzie. Topics on the agenda last night included issues surrounding first-class travel and pickup services where board members were allegedly chauffeured to the airport in limousines, and the future travel plans of current Secretary Jacqueline Doss.
Brona Tumulty has been following the spending issues in the district and joins us now from Southwood Middle School with the latest. Brona.
Good evening, guys. We could talk all night about the sheer number of issues we've heard about this evening, but overall, a very, very tense meeting indeed. One of the parents and a school board member's daughter getting into a verbal altercation at one point, prompting the arrival of police. Das did agree with us that the credit card expenses we put in front of her are colossal. She says the blame, though, lies with whoever is booking the travel for the board. She did mention tonight in the meeting that not all board members need to go on all of the trips. She is going on a trip this month on school.
Not all board members need to go. She's going.
She's going this month.
Yeah. Also,
Every board member is going on every trip.
Also, she's blaming the travel company. She's passing the buck. I don't know. We have to go. I'm sorry they gave us limos and suites at the Bellagio. I didn't click that toggle on the travel agency website.
All of the trips. She is going on a trip this month on school district business. She says that one could not be cancelled, and her next one is not until December.
It's important business at Bora Bora. What are you going to do?
Is local. Now, the board has been in closed session since about 8 this evening. It's not clear when that will reopen to the public, but the regularly scheduled board meeting is next week, so we'll probably be back here again on Tuesday.
Oh, my God. This is so good.
we can't send every school board member on a trip. By the way, I'm going on a trip later this month.
Well, why is every school member, they're all going? Haven't you guys ever heard of email? Jesus.
The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q101.
We'll have head-to-headlines coming up shortly, where we have compiled the funniest headlines of the week. 2 of them we'll have you pick between to decide which story we break down. You decide the content of the show with Brian and Kenzie on Q101 after some Linkin Park we'll play. But just recapping what we've gotten into in the last half hour was a story from WGN, Brony Tumulty, that the Country Club Hills School District 160 corruption allegations are all over the place, just like the Tiffany Henyard thing down in Dalton. And we played some audio in the story. It's on the podcast. If you missed it, go back and listen later on. You have to hear this breakdown of this audio from WGN. And Brona did an amazing job of trying to get the real story on why they're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars going to Vegas, just like Tiffany Henyard. We solved that problem, and now we have a new one. So, Case, what's on the text line?
Dennis checked in. Dennis, who, by the way, played Clash with Kenzie earlier today. An amazing text from him as we talked about how, because of all the misuse of funds, they've had to cancel sports and after-school programs in the school district. And Dennis made the point that since they're in Vegas, they have decisions to make at the roulette table. He said if it lands on even, we keep the football team. If it lands on odd, we buy a second limo for the school. You know, leadership positions are tough.
Always lands on odd, unfortunately. It's not what they want.
Yep, the house wins.
Yeah, that's roulette for you.
Kenzie, what do you got on the text line?
708 texted in and said, please tell me they at least have a Cooper's Hawk membership to save money. But I'm sure they're like, no, that's irresponsible. We're not there all the time.
Come on, just keep bringing that wine.
Yeah.
Just keep bringing, give us another bottle. What do you got off the menu? The more expensive wine. Bring that stuff from the basement up here.
Can you imagine being the general manager this morning at the Cooper's Hawk in Orland Park and being like, I can't believe this.
Well, why did not only, everything else just was like lots of steakhouses, lots of food on DoorDash, Cooper's Hawk, Orland Park.
Specifically.
What did I do?
I will say this. There's fine people down there at the Cooper's Hawk in Orland Park. You should go there if you get a nice dinner and give good tips to the waiters and waitresses, because they had no idea that someone was using kids' money to go eat their steaks and wine.
Money that could have gone to a football team helmet instead.
This is going to upset Kenzie because Glenn checked in from 815. Did they buy any tickets to Oasis with that money? Because that'd be the ultimate slight to Kenzie.
Not locally. I think they're going to London for an important meeting, and they'll see them there.
They were in Cardiff last week, and the show's with 75,000 people.
They're going to Manchester this week, and they're actually going to bring Oasis out on stage.
Yeah, because you can learn a lot.
What are they doing with schools over there? Let's go take a peek.
Yeah. Let's figure it out. Again, the audio that we'll play, if you missed the last segment, again, go to the podcast to hear the whole breakdown. But this is the audio talking about the current secretary, Jacqueline Doss, about people taking all these trips and spending $250,000 going to Vegas. And why is that necessary?
And Doss did agree with us that the credit card expenses we put in front of her are colossal. She says the blame, though, lies with whoever is booking the travel for the board. She did mention tonight in the meeting that not all board members need to go on all of the trips.
They all don't need to go, but
She is going on a trip this month.
She's going on a trip this month, but not everybody needs to go with her, okay, to figure out what's going
the
on.
The hustle don't stop, baby.
It brings back so many memories. Again, this is just like from 2 years ago when we first played the audio from WGN, and this was from Ben Bradley about Tiffany Henyard in Vegas, why she was taking that money and going to Vegas.
Some of those charges are for you, though.
No, sir.
You didn't go to Las Vegas? What is that?
What is that? Jacqueline Doss needs to learn that.
I think Amy in Villa Park puts a bow on this perfectly as we're talking about all this corruption in school districts, especially in Country Club Hills. Stories like this. This is why we have no pencils in schools anymore.
You're damn right. And I keep delivering them.
That's right.
And you keep sending them in. We have more on the school supply drive going up later this year.
That's right. We actually have a back-to-school drive coming. I'm going to get more info on that today. We'll have.
And this is why we deliver actual supplies instead of money, just in case.
But now I'm wondering.
We don't want them to be able to get their hands on it.
I'm wondering, I saw the pencils go in the hands of kids and teachers, but I'm wondering if when they left for the day, the people like Jacqueline Doss go in and steal the pencils.
And like a black market. Yeah.
She sold them on the street.
He's on a street corner with a Ticonderoga.
Do I got to sit there at the schools and watch kids use the pencils just to know they go? Good Lord.
Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.